28.
28.
28 piccolos.
30.
30 clarinets.
31.
31.
31 trumpets.
22.
22.
22 mellophones.
11 baritones.
23.
23. 23 alto saxes. 12.
12 tenor saxes.
27.
27 drummers.
2. 2 majorettes.
11 trombones.
4.
4.
4 drum majors.
13. 13 tubas.
16.
16. 16 color guard.
This
This.
is the pride of the ACC.
Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the Pride of the ACC. My name is Adam Pohl, joined by the head of University Bands and Jeff Fuchs, as we have got a really, really special show. Jeff, I got to jump right into it right away. We have got former band director Jim Hile as our main alumni guest today. We're so excited to show you that conversation. It's going to be great catching up with Jim.
Yeah, I'm so glad Jim agreed to do this. He's such a key piece of this puzzle and so important to me being here. You know, he hired me as his assistant, and then after 1 year, he left Carolina, and I was able to move into the director of bands position. So I certainly owe so much to him, and great friendship, and I can't wait to see the interview with him as well.
Before we look back though, let's look at what happened this last week. I'm telling you, it was any time that we beat NC State like we did. I mean, that was glorious. The dinner tasted a little bit better on Saturday night. I'll tell you that much, Jeff. And for you to be able to bring the drum line, have a live performance at a Carolina football game. I know it's not, what we're used to doing, but boy, that it had to be neat to get the students in the stadium and get involved.
It was so exciting to have them back, and we only had about half of the drum line there because we had such little time to get it put together. But gosh, they did a great job. It was just so fun. You've learned to see if people are smiling by their eyes because you can't see their face behind the mask. But you could tell they were just having a blast, and it did contribute to the game. And it was, like you said, anytime you can beat UNC Raleigh, it's a good day to be a Tar Heel. And we hope we know they're going to be at the next 2 ball games, and we hope we keep adding more and more elements of the band. And we look forward to the day where we can have everybody back in Keenan.
Undoubtedly. And but we do have a project right now that we're trying to let everybody be involved with. This is, of course, we got a few shows left, and we need everybody to send in their response by November 6th, which of course just not far away now. But tell us a little bit once again about this Hark the Sound project.
Yeah, we've opened up a new way for people to get involved. We realize we've heard from several alums that they want to be involved, but singing or playing their horn after so many years is a bit of a challenge. So we opened up another option, and what we're asking our viewers, alumni, both current and alumni people to do is to send us some pictures. And for our alums, we'd love to get a picture of them when they were in the band, and then send us another picture of them today, whether it's with their family, spouse, partner, with their pet, whatever's important to them now. And we'll just run that as a slideshow on top of the music. And you can still participate if you want to send us a recording of you playing or singing or anything like that. We could still do that. But So now we've opened up another option, and hopefully that will get more people involved. If you have a picture of your group that you were involved with in college, all your buddies or your friends, send that to us. The information's on our Facebook page. It'll be in the email coming out. It'll be in every email we send out from this point forward. But we just like to, if nothing else, we can sit and listen to Hark the Sound and take a trip down memory lane, looking at pictures of people both then and now.
I love it, Jeff. So we hope that you can be a part of our big Hark the Sound project. And once again, November 6th is our cutoff date. So make sure to dust off the old horn and let us hear Hark the Sound once again from home, or be involved in whatever way that you can. I'll tell you, talk about being involved in whatever way you can. Our first guest today is Steve Lytle. And Stephen is somebody, everybody, that we've talked to has had such an incredible experience in the Marching Tar Heels. It's definitely been a life-changing event for so many, but especially for Steve. I mean, he was somebody that came to Carolina not really thinking that music was going to be a profession, and that all changed due to his time in the Marching Tar Heels.
Steve's another one of those that started off doing a different kind of major. Maybe economics. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but he got bit by the Jim Hile energy and enthusiasm of being a teacher, and he stayed around and did a full undergraduate degree, then did another full undergraduate degree, and stayed around. When I got to Carolina, he was teaching in Tryon High School, and then eventually he moved to East Chapel Hill High School and opened that school. And he had done arrangements for the band before I got here, and we had used him off and on. And then when Matt McClure took a leave of absence to work on his doctorate, I believe it was in 2008, Stephen was in Cincinnati working on his doctorate, and we called him and said, "Hey, why don't you come home for a year and serve as an interim while Matt's on leave?" And he joined us for a year, and since that time, he's written every note this band has played. He's done all of our arrangements for us, and he does such a great job of knowing how to make the band sound good, and he's figured it out really well for us, and is a very big part of our success. And when you hear the Carolina band, you're hearing Steve Lytle.
That is really incredible, and we can't wait for you to enjoy the conversation that we had with Steve.
So my name is Steve Lytle, and I joined the Marching Tar Heels in 1986, marched 5 seasons as a student, and then continued on for another 3 seasons in a capacity as a staff member. My current role is, the title is Coordinator of Music and Drama, or Coordinator for Music and Drama, for the Salem Keizer Public Schools. That's based in Salem, Oregon, and we are a large 42,000 student district. And I oversee about 110 teachers, and especially in the time of COVID, there's never a dull moment. I don't know if it was just luck or stupidity, but Carolina ended up being the only school I applied to. And I think from an early age on, it's like, I want to go there. And thank God I got in. But no, I had been, I've been in high school band and loved playing trumpet and had every intention to join the marching band, but didn't think I was going to be a music major. And got to school, bopped around a few majors, settled in on economics, and was deep into the career path of economics. And then during the 1989-90 school year, which would have been my 4th year, Jim Hile joined the faculty along with his wife, Nancy Whitaker, and he came in as the band director, and she came in as a music education professor. And there were several of us. Horace Golden was one, Robin Gorham was one, who, they saw us in the band, saw how much enjoyment we got out of it and how much investment we had into it. And they said, you need to be band directors. You need to be teachers. And so I completed my econ degree that year and went ahead and rejoined into a music teaching certification program. and spent the next 3 years as in effect, a graduate assistant with the marching band while I was taking the coursework to get certified to teach music. And the rest is history. It's an amazing thing. I mean, the organization is so critically important to my life. It is absolutely the catalyst that got me in on my career path. When I came from, like probably many of the students now, I started off in a very tiny, small, rural North Carolina high school band. And I got to Carolina, and it is, Division I athletics. It is a huge marching band. All the tradition. I mean, I think other people in interviews prior to this, if I've talked about things that are still happening in the band, were things that were going on when when I was there. 4C's been around for decades and decades. But the transition from director to director, there are great opportunities. Major Wyatt spent 25 years at the university. When I got there, I mean, he came to Carolina directly. I think his last appointment was the director of the White House orchestras. Major Wyatt taught us so much about being there as a family, being there for one another, having fun. Jim Hile came in, and we, there's a lot of modernization about our performances. We're finally, we're getting custom written music, an amazing period of growth, both for the band, and also that coincided with Mack Brown's initial run. And then I remember Jeff Fuchs coming in. He's been an amazing mentor, an amazing friend. I've been really fortunate to have 3 amazing people lead this organization that I've had a chance to be in contact with. It's so challenging right now. I don't have to tell anybody that. It is, for the seniors, it is you had so much looking forward to going into this season. And I know it just rips your heart out to not be able to participate in that. But membership in your college band, that's a lifelong thing. And your graduation is not the end of your time with the Marching Tar Heels. And you better get involved in that alumni band. Keep in touch with your people. Keep those touchstones, your traditions with your sections alive, and know that you get a chance to do those again real soon.
All right, everybody. What a great conversation with Steve Lytle. And, Steve didn't talk a lot about it, but you talked prior about the arrangement, Jeff. And for some maybe that are watching this that are not affiliated with the Marching Tar Heels, they might not even know exactly what that means, the arrangement of music. And, it's really incredible how so many people that have been a part of the organization over the years have written the music that is played all together by the Marching Tar Heels.
Yes, we've been very lucky to have a few students over the years who have contributed arrangements to the band for different shows or for pop tunes. And, we still, we have a rule with the students: if they arrange it, we will play it at least once, because I think it's important that they hear their work if they're going to grow. And so we've had quite a few students write. I think the thing that Steve has figured out so well is that his arrangements sound great with 29 kids at an NCAA basketball tournament, and they sound equally as great with the full marching band. And that's a real trick to pull that off, that, with whether you have 2 alto saxes or 28 alto saxes or on down the line.
Right.
To make it sound equally good with a small or large band. That's, I think, his strength.
Well, Jeff, I don't know if your seat is feeling a little bit hot, but it's about to become the hot seat, because it's time for our weekly Q&A segment, as many of our viewers and our alums have sent some questions. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
We got some good ones this week. Janet Haver says, Jeff, what's your favorite part about being a Tar Heel?
I think it's getting to work with the students. Carolina is a very special place. Some people call it the Carolina way.
Mhm.
You can call it what you want, but Carolina and being a Tar Heel is very special, and it's hard to put your finger on exactly what it is, but it's that feeling you get on the day of a Duke basketball game. It's that feeling you get on the day of a state football game.
Mhm.
The pride you feel when you walk across campus and see students who have worked so hard to be admitted to the university. It's the reputation as the oldest state university in the country, the achievements of faculty and staff and students. That for me, all that rolls into the kind of students that are on campus and that we get to work with every day, and the pride that everybody takes into the pride they take in being a Tar Heel and representing the university.
Jeff, we got a question from somebody from my era of the Marching Tar Heels, the great Tim Coring, who is a band director in Raleigh. And Tim asked, what is your favorite band trip memory?
Oh my goodness. Boy, I don't know that I can pick. I've been blessed with so many great opportunities. The ones that come to mind right off the bat, the Las Vegas Bowl trip
Mm-hmm.
was a trip like none other. Just the whole thing around that. The national championships have been amazing. But the one that jumps immediately, I got to say, is the Las Vegas Bowl. Just because, we got to stay in Caesar's Palace. We were there for 3 days with really nothing to do before the game, on all expense paid in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it was a disaster trying to get home.
Memorable.
Thanks to Skytrack Airlines, but it was memorable.
Skytrack Airlines, rest in peace, I would assume, right? I don't know if Skytrack Airlines is still with us.
Favorite, that's certainly the most memorable.
I love it. And this last question of the week, what a great one from Brian Holtzhauser. Jeff, how have you enjoyed being a cool grandpa?
I don't think anybody, certainly when I was a parent, I didn't understand how important the gift that we gave our parents were and the grandchild. And we have had a blast with Norley. I was able to keep her the first 3 months of her life full time. When Megan went back to work, I provided full-time daycare, and we're so fortunate that they're 20 minutes away. And we have a special bond, Nora and I do. And COVID has made it a little challenging to get to spend some time with her. But there was a young lady in the band here a few years ago that had a very unique relationship with her grandfather. And I always looked at Megan and her grandfather and thought, boy, I hope when I have a granddaughter, I can have that relationship. And we're off to a good start. But
I love it. That is really wonderful. Everybody, please, we're going to be doing this for our last 2 shows. Continue to send in your questions. It's so great to catch up with you. But through all of our social media streams, Facebook, Instagram, and the like, please send in your questions for us, and we'll feature a few on next week's show. Jeff, we've been able to see the majorettes perform. We've been able to talk to the majorette instructors, look down memory lane, as far as those that even were a majorette instructor in the past. I mean, we've kind of touched a lot of bases, but we haven't really gotten to meet our 2 senior majorettes this year, and we're excited to be able to do that right now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Ava Smith and Sierra Gillis are great young ladies. They came to us at the same time. Very odd, after many years of having no majorettes. The 2 of them reached out in the same summer. Ciara from Virginia and Ava from here in North Carolina. And the twirling world is small enough, as we found out when we met Zoe, that there's a lot of common threads there. And they have gotten along so well. Both their twirling complements each other, but their personalities also complement each other. And they have just been fantastic to work with. They've added a lot to the visual program of what we're doing, and we're really going to miss them next year. But they've been real troopers and worked so hard and gotten better, and just have contributed so much to the program the last 4 years.
My name is Ava Smith, and I'm majoring in exercise and sports science as well as women and gender studies, and I'm from Valdez, North Carolina.
And I'm Ciara Gillis, and I'm a chemistry major from Williamsburg, Virginia, and we are the majorettes for the Marching Tar Heels. Before I started twirling, I did ballet, tap, and jazz, and one summer at a dance recital, the twirlers came out and I saw their performance, and I immediately knew that that was something that I wanted to try. So I asked my mom, she put me in lessons that summer, and I fell in love with it immediately and never stopped. So I took baton lessons from Shelby Manning at my dance studio, where I continued dance lessons until I graduated from high school. So from the age of 5, I took baton lessons, performed in parades, local festivals, and went to local, regional, and national competitions.
One day I spent the night at a friend's house and she had a baton there. I was pretty much glued to the baton the whole entire night. So after that, I asked my parents if they could sign me up for baton lessons. I lived only 10 minutes away from where my baton teacher, Gail Bordner, taught lessons. So I started twirling in the 4th grade, and from there I performed at elementary school talent shows, recitals, local, regional, and national competitions. Marching band has been only a small portion of Ciara and I's twirling career, but it offers a completely new and different environment to twirling. We are so appreciative of our majorette coach here at UNC, Zoe. By giving us room to be creative with our own field work, she is really helping us prepare for maybe one day being a baton coach in the future and maybe helping other majorettes. I think that would definitely be something that Ciara and I would both enjoy in the future, apart from our future careers, just like Zoe does.
We definitely miss game days this year and cheering on the heels. Some of our favorite game day traditions include twirling outside of the UL while the drumline performs cadence in the pit. This is a great chance for us to warm up before pregame and to entertain the fans. We love practicing and having little kids come up to us to watch or to ask to take pictures with us. We also sometimes get the chance to meet people who used to twirl when they were younger. We also practice outside of the tunnels before pregame and during the second quarter right before our halftime performance. When we used to twirl fire a couple years ago, this was also the time when we would soak our fire batons and get them ready for halftime. My favorite part of game day is when we get to perform in front of the student section during pregame. It's great to feel the energy of the crowd and see how excited they are for the game to start.
Me and Ciara have definitely become the best of friends and have created a strong bond together since we are the only 2 people in our section. We joined the same sorority and we have lived together the past 2 years. I'm so glad Ciara and I both made the decision to come to UNC for academic reasons and both had a passion for twirling.
It's hard to believe that October is basically in the rearview mirror here, Jeff, but that's where we are. And that means it is almost alumni reunion time with a little bit of a different twist in such an unusual year. We've talked about it in a few of our programs prior. But tell us about what's going to be happening here on November 7th. Not only that, but I know you've got a few big names to unveil tonight as far as being a part of our big alumni reunion weekend.
Our virtual alumni reunion is going to take place on Saturday, November 7th. We're going to start at 10 o'clock on Zoom with general alumni, everybody in the same space, and we'll greet everyone and kind of give an update on what's been happening and lay some groundwork for what's going to be happening. And then at 10:30, we're going to break out into rooms based on who the director or assistant director was during different eras. And we'll have a room for the Major Y era. And we're waiting to hear back from Alan Reef. I'm hoping that he'll be able to join us and be in that room. Also hoping that John Johnson, longtime drum major during that time, will be in that room to greet people. We'll have a Jim Hile room, and Jim will be there. He's agreed that, barring something coming up, I think he and his family will be there. We'll have a Brian Doyle room, and Brian and his family are planning to be with us. We'll go on with a Matt McClure room for those who were here when Matt was with us. We're waiting to hear back from Matt, but I certainly hope he'll be able to be with us. And then the last room we'll have is kind of the last 5 years with Aris Golden and Aaron Cooper. And both Aris and Aaron will be in that room to greet those alum. And then I'll be around in the other room and bouncing back and forth. But it's really about, I get to see them every year when they come back and at various times. But this is really about reconnecting the students with their directors and assistant directors. And those rooms will stay open as long as there are people there visiting. And then at noon that day, the Tar Heels play against Duke in Durham. People can be on their way and watch that game. But we're hoping a lot of people will show up and drop in and say hello. And we're super thrilled that Jim and Brian Doyle and hopefully Matt and Alan, certainly Aris. I think it's great they're going to be with us. It's hard to get the whole, the last from 69 to almost 50 years of
incredible
band leadership time. That's pretty special.
That is really, really special. How, if you are an alum, how do you become a part of the Zoom? Do you have to pre-register?
Right now, we're not going to do a pre-register. We'll have the Zoom links up on our Facebook page, and we'll also email them out to everyone on our alumni listserv, so they'll have those. And certainly, if you don't get any of that, I have one of the easiest emails to remember. It's jeff@unc.edu. So if you don't find out about it through either Facebook or the email blast, just shoot me an email and I'll send you the links so you know where you're going that day.
And once again, that's going to be the morning of November the 7th, so not far away, just about a week or so away, actually 8 days away. So we hope that you could be a part of it. And of course, you talked about Jim Hile being a part of that event, but Jim is going to be our special guest here in our next segment. Jeff, obviously he's the person that brought you to Carolina. I mean, tell us once again the story of how that all came to be.
Jim and I met each other at the 1991 Final Four in Indianapolis. I had the Kansas band there, and of course he had the Carolina band there. And the night for the championship game, Kansas was playing Duke, and the Carolina band sat right next to us. And as you can imagine, they were pretty vociferous, cheering for or maybe they were just cheering against Duke, but we had a good time doing all the Final Four activities with them and then cheering with them cheering with us at the game. And then again in 93, we ended up at the Final Four together again, this time in New Orleans. And we ended up with them as they beat Michigan for the championship. And it was the same thing. Roy Williams was our coach at Kansas. And because of that loyalty to Carolina, we were all pulling for the Tar Heels that night and got to see them win the championship. So Jim and I knew each other from those two experiences. And then when the job came open, I applied and didn't get it the first time I applied, but the second time I did. And we worked together for a great year, and just so thankful to Jim for all he did to establish the program and set it up for, in this case, myself to come in. And it was a pretty easy transition to to build on what he had started. And very thankful for all the work he had put into it and the way he left the program.
So let's catch up with really one of the legends of the Marching Tar Heels in Jim Hile.
I came to Carolina in the fall of 1989, and I left in the spring of 96. And I was, at that time, I was the director. It was everything. I had the concert band, I had the wind ensemble, I had the marching band, basketball band. I was doing it all at that time. I had been assistant director of bands at the University of Illinois, and it was the time to look and try to find a director of bands position. The Carolina band position came open. It was really interesting in the interview process because students were, when they had their chance to talk to me, they were asking about what kind of shows and stuff, and they were so excited about a show I think that they had seen at I think maybe Auburn or something like that, and they were describing it. I said, that was the show that I wrote. So they had actually seen a show that I had written for. It was actually done for Illinois, but Auburn had it, and we ended up doing it at Carolina. So that made an impression on them. And then my wife had an opportunity. They had a part-time music ed position open at the same time, so it was a perfect fit. When I left Carolina, I took a high school position. My wife had gotten a job at Northwestern. And at that time, we talked about living apart, me staying at Carolina, but we had 3 young boys, and I just couldn't see splitting up the family. And so when I left Carolina, I took a high school band position in Highland Park, Illinois. I actually ended up teaching there for 18 years. I actually ended up doing the marching band, athletic band, the concert band at Eastern Illinois University for 1 year. And the boys thought it was pretty funny because I lived in a graduate dorm, and they thought it was funny because they were packing me up to send me off to college. Anyway, and then during that year, Elmhurst University came open, which is about 20 miles from where we live now, as opposed to 210 miles to Eastern Illinois. So that's been a great fit too. So I'm director of bands at Elmhurst University. Carolina has always been very close, and it's always been great memories. Some of the former students, I mean, it's been great to see Steve Lytle, him go off and being assistant director at West Virginia, and Ars Golden being assistant director at Michigan State. Brian Quakenbush, I mean, there's Robin Gorham. I mean, there's a whole bunch of students in the teaching field who've gone out and done just great things. So there's a lot of pride in that. And then I think the other thing is just because of Dean Smith and the basketball program, how that was respected, all I had to say, we're going to model the band program after the basketball team. Basketball has always been, a Carolina thing, and Mack Brown wanted to, prove that a basketball school could have a good football program too. And he was very successful in that. He built the program like crazy, I think. I can remember sitting in his office, and he talked about what he wanted to do and how he wanted to imitate a lot of things with the SEC, including taking the band on all the road trips. They were so supportive of the band. And if I said, can we try this? Can we do this? They were all for it. So again, I think a lot of things emerged, the beginning of the first year. I think one exciting thing, well, a couple things, I mean, all the same year. I think the year of the bicentennial was an incredible year for the band program in all aspects of the band program. But the week before Thanksgiving, anyway, we had been invited to be the first college marching band to march in the Macy's parade. And so we worked really, really hard to make that happen. And at the same time, the wind ensemble performed in Carnegie Hall. with Victoria Livengood, who was an opera singer, graduate from North Carolina. And then Dean Smith had basketball games going on at the same time, I think in Madison Square Garden. So that one week, you know, the wind ensemble went up first. We performed at a high school in DC, then went up to New York, had our dress rehearsal thing. The marching band came up. The marching band rehearsed in the Giant Stadium parking lot. We all went to the basketball game, saw that. I had to keep a pep band in New York for the second game while we sent the rest of the marching band back to Carolina because they had to play a football game. So it was just, but it was an incredible weekend. I mean, it was really, really busy, but it was one of those things that's really, I think, a life-changing kind of experience. I think it was for everybody. It was just awesome. You know, I know the band has changed. Things are always going to change. I think Jeff has done a terrific job. I know there's more pressure to do more athletic events. They have those kinds of demands. But I think the marching band, you know, it's great to still hear the fanfare that I wrote, that's still being used. That's great. You know, some of the percussion traditions, those things are worked into pregame now. I think that's all terrific. You know, the Marquee Carolina changed into Tar Heels, those are all great things, I think. I don't know if it's still a tradition, but I know some of the alumni from my period, you know, if I say Carolina, they'll say Pride. So anyway, that's one of those things. Boy, the first time we did that in the music building, I mean, I think the students thought, okay, this is kind of cool. So, and that became a tradition after all the football games. So Carolina, Pride.
Well, that was so great to catch up with Jim Hile. And Jim, you know, we talk about in our last segment, Jeff passing the baton and how he brought you into the program. But, you know, Major Y was such an incredible character and figure, personality at Carolina. And for him, it had to be something for Jim to come and not only take that over, but also be the wind ensemble director. I mean, there was so much on his plate when he came to the university.
Yeah, indeed. You know, as easy as it was for me to follow Jim, you know, Jim had his hands full when he came here because he was replacing two different people in two different jobs. And, you know, every college marching band in this country has gone through a transition that carried them out of the 70s and 80s and into the current times. Every band has. Some are still going through it. Ohio State just went through it recently in a very public way. Wisconsin went through it in a very public way. And so when Jim came, he was bringing the band out of the 60s and the 70s and 80s, which were a very different time, and transitioning them into the 90s, which was a changed social time. And he had his work cut out for him, but he did a great job of not only changing the social, he changed the social culture of the band, but the way he did it was so brilliant because he changed the musical culture first. And he modeled the program after, I've not heard him say this, but I've always thought that he modeled it after basketball. And, you know, when you give the kids substance to buy into, it really worked. And so, and I say that because I was in the college bands in the 70s and 80s, and I know the life we led. And
yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that there, like so many things in our culture, there are things that were tolerated that have never been acceptable. And now those things that once were tolerated are no longer tolerated. They're still not acceptable. And Jim was that conduit at Carolina to move it. So I have even more respect for him because not only in changing the culture, he made the band stronger and better, which is quite admirable.
And Jeff, I always like to think about it because there's so many binds that tie everything together, but so many traditions that I don't want to say we take for granted, but that have been such a huge part of game days and things for Carolina fans over the years that Jim Hile brought to this band.
Yeah, there's lots of things that, and that's the thing I think I'm most proud of with my tenure here is that when we look at the band, you can still see the major Y things involved. You can still see the Jim Hile things involved. And I hope the next person can come in and say, yeah, and there's some Fuchs things in there too. That we haven't completely sold out on anything. That no matter when you graduated, you still come back and a piece of the band still looks familiar to you. It's like going to your childhood home. The paint may not be the same color, but the house is still standing. And I think that's real important with the band program here is that there's something here that was here when each of us were involved in the program.
And for me, when I come back to Carolina and at a football game, if I hear the fanfare of pregame, I mean, it really is an emotional thing for me. I love that so much. Jim Hile wrote that, and it's just so cool. Many of those things, obviously, we think about it more so the fight songs, things like that. But some of these intricacies that have been a part of what the band has done over the years is such a bind that ties you to it and brings you back to your time as a part of the band. We're going to feature a show from the Jim Hile era now, and it's the Tommy Show from the 1993 season. And maybe explain a little bit to our viewers some of the marching aspects that are a transition that Jim Hile brought to the Marching Tar Heels, ways to step forward, because I know that some part of our conversation there was how rigorous the marching practices were in the Jim Hile era.
Yeah, I think Jim came out of the Big Ten tradition, and yeah, that's another major difference that a lot of people don't think of. A lot of the East Coast bands in Carolina started as a student organization. Whereas the Midwest and Big 10, Big 12 bands, they kind of came out of a military tradition. And so Jim brought that experience from a military tradition with him. And there was lots of intensity, lots of discipline. The musical scores, he wrote all the music when he was here. He wrote most of it, I would say. They were great arrangements that challenged the players. And I picked this show specifically for this episode is because when you talk to as I call them the Hile kids, when you talk to them and you ask them, tell me about a show, 9 out of 10 will say Tommy. That's the one that, we all have a show that stuck with us from our era. Definitely. And the Tommy Show is the one that just keeps getting mentioned. So that's the reason we picked this one for this episode.
All right, folks, here we go. It's time for the Tommy Show.
gentlemen. And now in a salute to Tiger fans here at King Stadium and Tiger fans everywhere. The song that shakes the Southland, Tiger Rain! Show this evening celebrates the music of the American theater, Broadway. In 1968, the rock group The Who produced the first rock opera, which is now enjoying a revival on the musical stage. We now present the overture to this latest Broadway hit, Tommy. Broadway sensation was also a revival of an earlier Broadway hit. We feature the Marching Tar Heel percussion section, along with brass soloists, the majorettes, and color guard in Havana from the great musical Guys and Dolls. success of so many Broadway hits as Andrew Lloyd Webber. The old tale of a phantom living within the opera house is brought to life on the musical stage with the haunted melodies of the music of the night, Angel of Music, and of course the main title, The Phantom of the Opera.
Well, Jeff, what a show. I mean, my goodness, we brought the heavy hitters today, Steve, and Steve Lytle and Jim Hile. I mean, these are people that have had such an incredible influence. Let's just put it this way. If you took out what Steve Lytle and Jim Hile did for the program, not much would seem similar to a Tar Heel fan when they watch what the Marching Tar Heels bring to the table, even in the current day.
Yeah, that'd be a totally different experience. And I think they both have a major, a major part of our history. And it was nice to be able to pay tribute to them tonight in this way.
Well, folks, once again, thank you for being with us. I think this was a great one, and we really appreciate you joining us here today. That's going to do it for us. For Jeff Fuchs, my name is Adam Pohl, and this has been the Pride of the ACC. Have a great weekend, everybody.